Thanks for joining us on Capsule to Cone. Everybody, I'm Matt McQueen. This is my good friend, Curtis Leeser, and we've got another guitar-related studio video for you today where we ask the question, will it Les Paul? And Curtis, I'm super confused because we're supposed to be comparing humbucker guitars in this video, and you brought a Stratocaster, so that's good. We're off to a great start.
Yeah, dude. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Cue the bumper. And we're back, and we got Curtis a proper guitar. This is my 2004 Les Paul Standard Goldtop.
Proper's a stretch.
Okay, well, it's got burst buckers in it, and it's
non-chambered.
Non-chambered. Thank you very much for that.
I do respect you for that note. Yeah.
And for this video, we are going to be playing both guitars through this 1974 Marshall Super Lead Mark II.
It's okay.
And we're going to be recording them both through a Marshall cabinet from, I don't know the year, mid-70s. I know that it's got Celestion blackbacks in it, and it has a pair of Celestion greenbacks, and those are actually top and bottom. And we're miking up one of the blackbacks, and we've got an SM57 running through a 7th Circle Audio mic pre that's basically a clone of an Eve 1073. And we're running it kind of hot so that we can get a little bit of crunch and whatever color from the preamp, all those things that people like to hear about. So that is the setup. And we're going to be comparing this Les Paul, which I think is a really good example of a Gibson Les Paul, to Curtis's The Paul Firebrand. Now, if you've never heard of these guitars before, let me give you a little bit of history so that you know what we're comparing it to when we ask the question,
will it Les Paul?
The Paul was made in, they started making those in 78, and they had a walnut version and a mahogany version. The walnut version is the one that just says The Paul, and it has a gold Gibson logo on top. Curtis's is the Firebrand or Deluxe version, and the Firebrand actually has the Gibson logo branded into the top of the headstock. And the main differences are that it's a mahogany body with a mahogany neck. So I would say that it's essentially a Les Paul shaped SG, which is the same thing. Slab mahogany body. Doesn't matter because we're asking the question,
will it Les Paul?
Will it Les Paul? That is exactly right. The Firebrand came with T-top pickups, and if you don't know anything about T-tops, if you've never heard that before, I didn't know anything about these pickups before we started researching and prepping for this video today. The T-top was launched in 1968 with the relaunch of the humbucker-equipped Gibson Les Paul Custom, and for all intents and purposes, it's basically a PAF clone. So Gibson essentially had the PAF pickups, everybody really liked them, and for, you know, the last 50, 70 years, they've been just reissuing the same pickup over and over again.
I wonder how they went bankrupt.
Exactly. I wonder how they went bankrupt. They just keep doing the same thing over and over again because they've got the burst bucker, which is basically a PAF. The custom buckers are also a version of the PAF, and apparently the 57 Classics are. So
and T-top. So that's
that's at least four. At least four pickups. That, yeah. So
genius.
Curtis is not the biggest Gibson fan in the world. We love him anyways. But that's what we're doing. That's the guitars that we have. We've got this with burst buckers, the Firebrand, the Paul with the T-top pickups, and we're doing a Marshall Super Lead. So,
and the question we are wanting to answer is,
right, will it Les Paul? All right, so let's listen to some guitar. All right, so we've done the thing, Curtis, and what do you think? Does it Les Paul?
I mean, I'm biased because this is my guitar, but I think it frickin' Les Pauls.
I think it definitely Les Pauls. This is really cool. It was. I'll be honest. This video is mostly just for fun. We're bored, and we decided to make a video about Will It Les Paul. So you can see we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel for YouTube content here, but it definitely Les Pauls, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wasn't going to admit it on camera, but when we talked about doing the shootout, I honestly thought that Goldtop was going to sound light years ahead of this thing.
You went into it expecting the Goldtop to just really mop the floor with this thing.
Yeah, and I was thoroughly surprised. There are some differences. This thing's brighter, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I think the biggest thing is that it's just a thinner body.
Yeah, it's a thinner body.
And it does have different pickups. They're completely, different reissues. Yeah, should I say?
It's a whole different PAF. It's a completely different thing than we've done here. Breaking new ground at Gibson, but it's it's not too dissimilar from the Les Paul. I thought that I don't know. I always thought that the whole thing with the maple cap on a Les Paul was to make it a little bit brighter because it was too dark. But we're definitely hearing. I don't know if we're hearing brightness, but I think I looked at kind of an RTA of what was going on with the guitars, and we compared both clips because we didn't change anything on the amp. We did from riff to riff, but on the same riff, it's the same settings on the amp. We didn't do anything, and this guitar seemed like it had a little bit less information in that 2 to 500 area. At least with this amplifier. Mm-hmm. And so 2 to 500 hertz, the Goldtop had more, and I'm wondering, without doing a bunch of tests with a bunch of different guitars, I'm wondering if is that a pickup thing? Is that something with the burst buckers? Or is that because the mahogany part is I'd say it's probably a 1/4 inch thicker on the Goldtop than it is on this guitar. But it also seemed like the Firebrand had a little bit more in the upper mids, getting into the high frequencies around the 2K area. This guitar seemed like it had a little bit more information, but
yeah, we really noticed that on the neck pickup. I think that's where I noticed it the most.
Yeah,
and not that I think I thought it sounded great.
Yeah,
but yeah, I that's where I definitely noticed it the most.
But you're talking these guitars, right now, because Curtis almost sold this guitar, so we're kind of up on all this information about what these guitars are worth. I think high side we were seeing $1,200-1,300 for it's kind of like top dollar for one of these, which certainly means that if you look and you're patient and you kind of scour and maybe send some best offers in, you could probably score the Firebrand version for around $1,000, maybe even less. You said you got this one for $600.
I was gonna let it go for $400. Completely new fret job and all that. I was just done.
Really?
No, not really.
I was like, man, I missed the boat on that one. I would have bought that in a heartbeat. No, it's these though. I can remember 15 years ago when I was in college, you could find these all day for under $500.
Well, they're a budget. They're a budget Les Paul is kind of the idea behind it. So I get the idea, and then now that we're in 2020, it's like 80s is a long way to go.
Yeah, so they're definitely going up in value. So if you're not hip to these, if this is your first time seeing the Paul, I definitely think that they're worth looking into. It's still coming with this is coming with the all metal. I guess it's brass Clusen tuners. That look like the traditional ones with the green plastic from Gibson. It's a great looking guitar. It's very understated. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, the binding on the neck and stuff like that, which, yours has a really good fresh fret job on it. Mm-hmm. So the neck just feels great, even without there being binding. I never was interested in these guitars though years ago because I've always loved the aesthetic of the binding around the body and the binding around the neck. But now that I'm a little, I don't know, dare I say, older and wiser.
Yes.
If my wife's watching this, she's laughing at that right now. But I would definitely be all into this because I think from a recording perspective, making music, I spent just shy of $2,000 used for that 2004 Goldtop, which I think is pretty typical. I see them sometimes a little less for a standard, sometimes a little
more. Yeah.
Sometimes a little more. I think they're 27 or 28 new here in the U.S. at the time of this filming. This guitar, though, if you scored one of these for under $1,000, you're probably not going to turn any client heads if you're the kind of person that works with bands and you want them to play your instruments when they're in, because it's got this super understated, just very bare bones look to it. But sonically, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with this guitar at all. So will it Les Paul?
It'll
definitely Les Paul. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure if you liked this video that you hit that bell notification so that you know when we ask the question, will it Les Paul again, you'll be the first to know. And give us a thumbs up, smash that like button, all the YouTubery stuff that you're supposed to say. Please do it. It helps us out, and it helps us to keep doing what we're doing here at Capsule to Come. Until next time, I've been Matt.
I'm Curtis.
Talk to you later.